So it's been a really interesting week. I've been called, that I by my friends and my families and the people close to me, a few things this week that I was privileged, that I was behaving like a God, that I was selfish, that I was kind, that I was, the most selfish, kindest person that they knew, and I've been called too much this week. And at the beginning of the week, it really affected me. It was really close to my heart, and I set boundaries, which is important. Setting boundaries is very important if you can actually do that. Some people can't. I have a friend of mine who's really, Shelley Butler, she's really good at setting boundaries. So is Natalie Davidson, very good at setting boundaries. And I think setting boundaries is important. If you read the book Dare to Lead or any of the Brené Brown's, actually Brené Brown has a live, not a live, but a program on Netflix. You can watch her. She's very, very stern about setting boundaries. I think that's very important in order for you to breathe and to be able to heal and to think. But putting boundaries up doesn't necessarily serve you in the long run. It's a kind of a, if I look at it this way, and this is my analysis, is like if you're starting to, learn karate and you're a blue belt in karate, like somebody hits you, you hit them back. And boundary settings is a little like that. You basically learn how to say people to back off because you're strong enough, and you basically cut them off of your life. You move away. But it doesn't actually fix the actual problem inside of you. It actually doesn't allow you to go deeper and say, why is this bothering me? Why is this word, you're godlike, for example, or you're a selfish, kind person, why does that bother you, right? And inside that emotion that you have, this attachment that you have to the words, if you look at certain words like whatever or fine, these words have weights to them. They have representations to them. They have meaning for you. But they're just words. What's really interesting is to find out why they have a weight, why they have a representation, why they mean something to you. So when somebody says something to you that you're privilege or you're too much or you're godlike or whatever people call you on, the interesting thing, if you can, the next level after boundary, I totally believe, is to be able to sit in observation of that emotion you have. And the graphical representation of that would be, you're like in the Matrix and the bullet's coming right at you and you're watching it, right? And at the beginning, boundary setting is like it bounces off of you like Superman because you're strong, or it bounces you and hits them back in the face because you're that strong. But in the Matrix, what happens after a while, basically the bullet comes over and he just observes the bullet, watch by as it just goes by him. And eventually, the bullet comes to him and you can stop it right there in his tracks. And he picks it up and he looks at it. He said, what is this bullet? What is this emotion? Why does this affect me, right? So when people are calling you certain things, you behave like God, for example, or you think you're God, or you think you're privileged, or you're not, you're selfish and kind at the same time. You look at that and say, well, is that true? Is that who I think I am? Are you happy and aligned with where you are today? And if you're not happy and aligned where we are today, you're able to look at that and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to fix that little problem that I have, that emotion that I have against some word that is coming to get me. And the observation of that emotion, you just pick it up and say, oh, am I selfish? Maybe I am sometimes. Is that good or bad? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Not attaching any weight to the word selfishness. Am I kind enough? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Right? The truth of the matter is, We all have a little bit of ego. We all have some selfishness in ourselves. We all have some kindness in ourselves. But if we sit in observation, we can determine, do I want to change who I am? Do I want to be less selfish? Do I want to be kinder? Do I want to, be privileged or not privileged, right? Do I behave like I'm privileged? Do I behave like I'm God? And if the answer to those questions is you're okay with who you are, well, that's okay. Just sit in observation of that and let it go. And that's the next level. That's the Eckhart Tolle level. That's the Deepak Chopra level. That's the matrix level of emotion. Being able to just take that emotion as it comes up to you, as it's presented to you by other people with words, looking at that emotion, sitting in that emotion, and saying, you know what, that's not even me, and just let it go by. Or pick it up and say, I like that, and just throw it away. And I was really, really happy yesterday. Because at the beginning of the week, I had to use boundaries to set limits of what my friend was telling me. But by yesterday, because I went back to my habits, my daily habits of practicing yoga and meditation and journaling and being creative and doing work all week, well, last night, I was able to sit in observation of people shooting things at me, whether they meant it for, as a constructive criticism or not, and sit in observation of them, and then reflect and thought, well, geez, that's interesting. Maybe that person is judging me. Maybe that person is judging me because deep down inside, they're judging themselves. Maybe that person is judging me because deep down inside, there's something, a fear in there that is stopping them from moving forward. And I had that reflection. And I'm so proud that I was able to do that. It's like, it doesn't happen often. So I had to share it with you guys. And it's through the practice of observation and being in front of life, right? If you're in a cocoon and you always set boundaries and you remove every little thing in your life that is disruptive and not nice, what's going to happen is it's going to come to get you somewhere else. That's what life does, right? You can't hide unless you become a monk and you practice yoga or something every single day. You turn off every news, you turn off everything, you turn off from life. Well, you're becoming lonely. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. But if you can take that and be an observation of who you are and deflect that or pick up that little emotion that comes up and just let it go, well, that's double black belt karate. That's like Eckhart Tolle. That's Deepak Chopra. That's kind of the next level. And I'm not comparing myself to these guys. I'm just saying I think my analysis is where I am today is that's a better place to be than just ridding yourself of all the negativity in the world, because the world is full of negative people. The world is full of negative things. The world is full of pain and suffering. Yeah. Pain is not inevitable. Like, you're going to have pain. Suffering is optional. Yeah. I love what Viktor Frankl said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, when he said the only really thing you have in life is a choice of how you react to life. And that choice determines your happiness, your successfulness, and if whether or not you fall in love with who you are.